Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, we're going to tell you the real reason AEW sacked CM Punk. We have a big report with a bunch of details on the situation, including non-compete clauses, WWE rumors, is it a work, all kinds of things. From there, we will talk about a report stating the Elite cancelled a meeting with CM Punk last week, and we'll also talk about the future of Collision as well. I'm Andy, this is the news, that's a microphone, and CM Punk's gone from AEW. You knew that already, unless you've been asleep for 24 hours. We did a little video on it last night, so you can check that one out. But, understandably, because this is such a huge situation, a bunch of other reports have come out following AEW releasing that statement, and we're going to begin with the ever YouTubeable real reason. Dave Meltzer tweeting last night, Wrestling Observer, of course. The results of the investigation of the incident last Sunday led to this. The non-wrestler eyewitness report in the current issue of the Observer is probably the best description as to the what and the why. Now, AEW, they released that statement yesterday and it did say for cause, but they didn't explicitly go, yeah, he was fired for fighting Jack Perry, which is, of course, what happened at All In. It's a bit more complex than that, but you guys are smart enough to know that I'm not just, giving you this nonsense version of it. There's about 7 or 8 different accounts of how it actually went down, but most of them agree that there was a confrontation between these two men at All In. Perry left the building, he was sent home. CM Punk either was sent home or left of his own accord after that. There was maybe a shove, there was maybe a punch. It's all over the place, but there was footage. There's cameras all over the place in Wembley. The investigation is complete, and as a result of that investigation, CM Punk gone from AEW. Now, if you missed it, the non-wrestler account in The Observer that Dave's talking about here, I'll go over some of the details. He said it was a neutral source. Jack Perry came back after speaking down the camera about glass. Him and Punk went nose to nose, or Punk went nose to nose with him first. Punk aggressively asked him if he had a problem. Perry said, hey man, I'm just trying to get heel heat. Punk shoved him, Perry got in his face, Punk sucker punched Perry and went for a choke. People broke it up and Tony Khan was yelling at him to let him go. So that's that non-wrestler neutral eyewitness report. Tony Khan was on Collision last night. He got booed in the arena. Obviously it was in Chicago or Hoffman Estates. Sorry, got the towns mixed up. He said it was a unanimous decision from AEW's discipline committee and outside legal counsel. He spoke about how he felt people in AEW had been endangered and said he feared for his safety and life. So maybe confirmation there. Perhaps just speculating that Tony was indeed there as this happened. But there you go, that's why. We kind of could read into that following the statement, but we have confirmation here, and that's why we're talking about it this morning. Let me know down in the comments section below, do you think AEW was right to let CM Punk go? If not, why? Fire in, let's get a conversation going. I'm sure there's already one brewing. Let's move on to our next story of the day. This is a Fightful Select report, right? And there's a lot of stuff in here. It's a great piece of work, as always, by Sean. Let's just go into some of the details that I think you guys will be most interested about. So, there's currently no word of a non-compete clause or a severance period on Punk's AEW contract. So that means there's no word if he could just show up somewhere else, sign for another company, when that could happen. It's noted, however, that Punk still has major heat with major names in WWE, and there's no expectations or plans of Punk going there, but most people in WWE didn't think he was going to be fired either. So that's what we have so far on the WWE situation, which obviously came up as soon as a major wrestler leaves one company, people are immediately going, hey, how about the other company? It's pretty complicated, but I do have a Twitter question on that I'll talk about later. I'll share my thoughts on CM Punk potentially going to WWE. Now, here we go, some more details. The AEW roster, including those close to Punk, according to Fightful here, did not know, pardon me, I've got a cold, he was going to be fired as of Saturday, yesterday, presumably round about when it happened. Punk was scheduled to main event All Out, which is tonight somehow. Oh yeah, there was a WWE pay-per-view last night as well. Madness. Talk about that in the questions as well. He was going to main event the show against Ricky Starks. Bryan Danielson obviously returned on Collision last night and he's facing Starks instead. I mean, that'll be great, so Okay. AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery, that's AEW's TV network, have had talks about the on-screen direction of Collision lately, and there were some CM Punk signs confiscated from last night's show. It's noted that there's no real word on whether or not, well, there was no real progress made with Punk and the Elite seemingly working together. Punk had told other people, however, that he wanted to get in a room and sort things out with the Elite. Obviously, that never happened. And now Fightful sources have claimed as well that this isn't a work, it's legit. This is AEW sources. Hey, guess what? I've got a question on that one as well at the end of the video. So if you want to know what I think about works and stuff, end of the video. I'll go into it a little bit there. But before we continue with the video, I just want to give a quick shout out to a friend of the channel, Joe. He's running the Great North Run next weekend. It's for the Mind charity, mental health charity here in the UK. It's an excellent cause. Look, times are tough, but if you've got anything to spare whatsoever, the link is down in the description below with the GoFundMe and everything else. It's a fantastic cause, and we wish him all the best. Good luck, Joe. Right. Let's move on to our next question today from House of Wrestling, reporting that the Elite cancelled a backstage meeting with CM Punk last week ahead of All In. Interesting one to go over here. House of Wrestling reporting that there was a sit-down planned for the Elite, CM Punk, Tony Khan was going to be there as well. The idea was that they were going to do this in Atlanta, Khan would be there, and they would try and bury the Hatchet before All In, this historic pay-per-view for AEW, of course. House of Wrestling report that the Elite called the meeting off. And it's stated here that the cancellation added to Punk's overall frustrations. Now, if this meeting had been booked in and I'm CM Punk, or I'm either side actually, and I see this as an opportunity to bury the Hatchet, I probably would be a little bit frustrated if it had been booked in, because if you agree to something, right? If you go, yes, I will be there, and then go, no, actually, the agreeing to the meeting would suggest that maybe you're interested in burying the Hatchet, and you pull it away. That's probably quite a frustrating situation. I could see his side there. However, we should note that Brian Alvarez, via the Wrestling Observer Figure 4 online board, has stated that the meeting was never booked. The Elite were approached about it, but shot it down, which is a completely different situation, because they've not given you the little sliver of, yeah, we'll talk, and then gone, psych. They've just gone, nah, we're not interested in that. And they are well within their rights to not want to bury the Hatchet with this man, I think. And look, I'm a CM Punk guy, but he's got to call the situation how it is. There's some problems between these human beings. So I think this is a pretty interesting one. Obviously, House of Wrestling and Brian Alvarez, they've been told different things by different sources, presumably. That's just how this game works. It would have been nice to see the parties bury the Hatchet, come together, but it was clear to me, at least, that this was never going to happen. It seemed that we weren't trending in that way. I thought maybe Hangman Page, I don't know, I just got a different vibe from that situation. Maybe at some point he'd be like, yeah, I'll do a match with this guy, I don't really like him, blah, 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 blah. But that's just my read into it. It doesn't mean anything. And people are well within their rights to not like each other. It's the world, man. You're not going to like everyone, just, you know. But also at the same time, it's good to not have grudges and waste energy on that crap. So, hey, don't have enemies. Let's move on to our final question, news story of the video. What next for Collision? Obviously, this show was given to CM Punk, basically. We know Warner asked AEW, hey, we want a show, another one, do another show. AEW made CM Punk the centerpiece of it. They gave him complete control. They gave him a bunch of creative. They gave him the power to kick people out of the locker room. He ran the thing, basically. And there was not a damn thing Tony Khan could do about it until he fired him, it seemed. But we got a tweet here from Andrew Zarian, who reports Warner Brothers Discovery was told late this week that the soft roster split would be ending. Which is an interesting one to me, because soft roster split, well, it almost became just a list of banned wrestlers. Bunch of people couldn't show up on the show, including the Young Bucks, who, as soon as CM Punk gets fired, were on Collision last night. So that's quite a fun turn of events. But also, you look at the ridiculous situation with Christopher Daniels. This man was AEW's head of talent relations, a title that has been proven to mean absolutely nothing, because CM Punk had the power to kick him out. Not let him on the show. Head of talent relations, supposed to be the guy who solves these problems. Nah, you're not getting in, pal. What on earth? What a weird thing. So I guess Collision's going to become more of a mixed roster with Dynamite. There's positives and negatives to that. The huge positive is that people aren't going to be banned from a show. The negative is that I think separating people up, even if it's not an official roster split, it gives people more TV time. If you know that people aren't going to be crossing over between brands, taking up maybe 10 minutes on one show, 15 on the other, well, that 15 could be used for someone else. And that's good when you're like AEW and you have a gigantic roster and you can't use everyone at once. So there's good and bad to this situation for sure, just like the Punk situation as a whole. Look, just to give a brief summary of my thoughts on this whole thing, I'm a huge CM Punk fan. I've loved this run. I enjoy covering the chaos, but at the end of the day, there are human beings involved in this story. Yes, we put wrestlers on a pedestal, we idolize them, whatever, they're larger than life. But at the same time, I think that people will have a right to go to work and feel like they're not going to get in a crazy argument about something that is ultimately quite silly and probably could be snuffed out a long time ago. So look, I'm a Punk guy. I think his work is sensational. I know like some people don't resonate with what he does on the mic and in the ring and stuff. I like that he represents a different kind of movement in pro wrestling, but at the same time, look, these were combustible elements, and I think at the end of the day, this is probably best for everyone involved. It was a hell of a run, and I hope that people like the Elite and Jap Perry can now go back to work and be in a better place and just focus on creating great art, not having to worry about the situation. Yeah, let's move over to the questions from Twitter /X whatever. I've thrown this first one in here. Obviously, we got a bunch of ones about CM Punk going to other companies, specifically AEW. I've gone with Dylan's question here because it has a really spicy take at the start, and I love a spicy take, man, even when I don't necessarily agree with him. Dylan says, CM Punk is, in the words of Roy Keane, a big baby. Just an unprofessional prima donna. The longer his AEW run went on, the more I soured on him and the magic was gone. It would shock me if he steps in a wrestling ring again unless he goes to Japan. Would you agree? I think you echo a lot of people's thoughts there. I think a lot of people are just done with this. I'm not one of them. I love the ride. I'm an idiot. What can I say? I feast on it. Let's talk about WWE, right? And then we'll talk about Japan a little bit. He's not going to WWE, in my opinion. I wouldn't bet my life savings or anything like that on it, because you can never say never in pro wrestling, particularly when there's money to be made. But I'm about 90% sure that that's not going to happen. Look, yes, there is money to be made. But CM Punk's a combustible guy. The WWE locker room is reportedly in a really good place. Do you want to introduce that element, particularly after the blow-ups and the fights and the scraps of the past couple of years? It might go well for a couple of months, but the current trend suggests that maybe after a while, old Phil Brooks is going to cause a ruckus, or be involved in a ruckus, be a magnet for the ruckus, bring the ruckus, Wu-Tang, etc. I don't think he's going there. Him and Triple H famously hate each other. Seth Rollins hates him. We've seen those comments come back around as a result of this. And yes, a lot of people would be able to put that aside to make money, but the other side of this is that this would be almost entirely motivated by spite on Punk's behalf, and I don't think anything good can possibly become from that situation, particularly given the strenuous situation at the moment. Also, maybe Punk's going to have to sue AEW, or try to. He could do that. It's a crazy thing. As far as wrestling again goes, yeah, I mean, it's WWE really. That's the top option for him, obviously. Big players, all of that. Japan, maybe they'd be a bit more forgiving, but at the same time, I can't really see New Japan going, yes, CM Punk, we'll take you in, and piss off our partner promotion in the US that's been very valuable to us. I don't see that happening either, personally. Maybe he shows up in DDT and works Kazusada Higuchi in the main event. Hey, I'd like that. Why not? Let's move over to our next question of the day. John Harrison's been on. Shouts to John. He asks, good Sunday, you sexy bald mother flubber. The TK opening of Collision this week. Is this a work? When does a promoter come on screen to talk about the release of a talent? I'm probably being dumb here, right? Have a great day. Peace and love. I don't think you're being dumb at all, John. I think that a lot of people are very right to ask this question. It was a weird interview. Tony kind of sitting there. To me, right, when I was listening to him, he sounds genuinely upset by this situation. I think he loves CM Punk. Remember that report a few weeks ago where Punk returned and Tony was chanting for him backstage, marking out? I love that stuff. I think Tony's been genuinely upset by the situation, genuinely hurt by it all. Do I think this is a work? I don't. I'm naturally reticent to go down that route because a lot of wrestling fans will immediately, in any situation, throw on the tinfoil hat and go, it's a work. And even when it's proven not to be one, you can't say anything to them because they're just so convinced. I don't think it is. I would kind of love it if it was. Like, the best case scenario for this situation is that everyone is actually made up and they're all friends. And suddenly everything's going to be this amazing money-making story. But there's just too much going on for me to buy into that. I'd like to be proved wrong. CM Punk's the master worker. I don't think it's happening. I don't think it's the case. I think this is legit. Final question today. Hey, we got one about Payback, which happened last night. Sorry, WWE, kind of got swept away in the news storm, but don't worry, Simon's going to be here with ups and downs later on. We'll get all your Payback coverage there. Chunky Boy, me too, my friend, asks, do you think the ending to Payback was odd, or was it just me? I was thinking that if Shinsuke was going to at least attack Seth, but I think if they did that on air, fans would think that Priest was cashing in. Your thoughts, Andy? Yeah, it was a strange ending to the pay-per-view. It was quite a flat match. I think the build was really good with the interviews and stuff with Nakamura in the run-up to this event, but you know, not reaching the ceiling, I don't think, for those two, quality-wise for me. And afterwards, it was kind of strange. Rollins was in the ring after beating Nakamura. Nakamura was just kind of walking around outside like, oh gosh, I lost. It was a strange thing to linger on to close the show, and it did give the air of a big angle about to happen that did eventually come. So yeah, pardon me, I've got a cold. Yeah, I'm of the same line of thinking, same line of thinking as you, Chunky Boy. I think that it felt like the pause was quite pregnant and like it was building the expectation of something further, and then when they didn't do it, it was just a bit weird. Strange ending to a WWE pay-per-view. Look, WWE pay-per-views have been great this year. They've been great last year as well. So, hey, they're entitled to kind of closing one on a bit of a flat note. I think that's okay. I don't have a problem with that. The next one will be fire, I'm sure. Hey, let us know what you think down below. And don't forget to check out this video right here. We'll be back with more CM Punk and stuff, I'm sure. Simon will be here with Payback Ups and Downs. See you later.